9 a.m. Council members Flores, Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, and Witherspoon.
All right, we're gonna stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, well, the moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Madam President, for me, we lost an old East High coach and phys ed instructor this past week, Bobby Kwiatkowski, only 73 years old, way too young to be dead. But he was a great guy. He coached football, a little bit of wrestling, and he was a mainstay at East High for a bunch of years. He's going to be missed.
Sorry for your loss. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval to accept the minutes for the February 21st, 2024 City Council meeting and bills for payment on March 8th and 15th. Council members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores.
Is there anyone here to speak on a repository sale? Is there anyone here to speak on a repository sale? Is there anyone here to speak on a repository sale? Alrighty, I don't see the media, but if media does come, please stand up on the left side of the room and on the right, citizens to be heard. I would like the citizens to clearly state your name and the municipality for the record, and you have 5 minutes. Yes, sir?
My name is Paul Mucci, and I live at 111 East 11th, Friendship Apartments. On the city bus, when I go to wait for a city bus at 10th and French, and then you got the school kids coming from the east side, they get off at the 31, and they walk up, and when I want to try to get on the bus to go to the store or something, then they kind of cut in front of me, and then once the school kids get on the bus, then he don't let me on, because he tells me there's no room on. And I even called the bus company, and nothing was done about it. And another thing, when they replaced some of the bedroom windows at Friendship Apartments, they replaced some of them, not all of them. And I wanted mine replaced because it doesn't come clean. The maintenance guy, he put the degreaser on it, but it's still got a film on it. The glass is kind of old, so when I had the clean lady clean it, it's like she never even cleaned it. And my boss down at Erie Beer, I had him talk to them, and he told me that the only way your bedroom windows going to be replaced unless they replace all of them. But they did replace some of them. They did replace some of them. And I even put a note in the front office when they were replacing some of them, because they put the new countertops in it. They put the new countertops where the sink is in the kitchen. They put them in, and they did replace some of the bedroom windows, but mine never got done. And I've been after them for that. That's why I come to you. And another thing, why don't the school district take them kids to school on their buses instead of getting on the city bus they still have school buses, the school district, don't they? And I want to ask you another thing, you know, on the COVID-19, when we had the COVID-19, the buses went a different route where they go up Peach Street and down Cherry, and some will go up Cherry and down Peach. I was going to ask you to, because I know you guys have meetings over there, to ask him, the buses like the original used to do before the COVID-19, to go up Peach and down Peach. But they don't do that. If he goes up Peach, he'll come down Cherry. And the ones that go up Peach, go up Cherry, come down Peach. I don't know who changed. I thought that was supposed to change after the COVID-19, but it's never been changed. And thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Lori, can you have Aaron or Marilyn give him the EMTA public meeting information so he can have that information with them? Thank you.
Good morning, Council. My name is Dominic Bazanco, 36 in Harvard, Erie, Pennsylvania. I showed up today and took time off of work to address you. So in doing so, I'm losing wage hours, I'm losing health insurance credits and pension credits. So I think you should consider how important coming down here is for me to address you, what I'm losing just by doing it. I came here in December last year with concerns about garbage that was left unattended and not picked up for one reason or another for 3 weeks when I made my original comments about that. So I remember telling you that, you know, your zoning department isn't doing its job, your zoning boss isn't enforcing his employees, and your garbage people are just neglecting to pick the garbage up because one way or another, whether somebody calls for a large item pickup or they throw it out, the city's going to end up with it. So I spoke to you about that, and not one of you did anything to help me or my neighborhood. And for that matter, nobody in the mayor's office did anything to do anything with it either. It wasn't until 2 weeks later that that garbage finally made it off the curb. How? I don't know. So now, the house directly across from my address on Harvard Road has had a door laying out on its curb for a few days over 2 weeks. If you remember even further back, I spoke to you, Council, about that house, that property becoming a Airbnb property. And on the very first day, I was willing to offer pictures of what the owner was doing to the property already. So, coincidentally, you all listened to what I had to say, and then two young ladies from a different state came up and spoke in favor of Airbnbs, and you voted in favor of them instead of a resident. Now, 2 weeks now, I've been looking at this door laying there. No attempt to pick it up by the owner, no attempt to pick it up by the city. And I just wondered if somebody on this council or anybody in the mayor's office is willing to do anything about getting it cleaned up for me and my neighborhood. It would be really appreciated. As long as we're on the subject of blight, there's been this thing on the news for the last year about this eclipse that's supposed to be spurring Erie's economy around. Now, if you look at Erie, just on 12th Street, and on the east side you got a bookend at the Bayfront Highway where the old plant used to be with the roofs falling off and all that stuff, that ugliness that people have been complaining about for years. And you go to the other side of Erie where everybody's got to get off of 79, and you look at what was the old Zern property and how disheveled that property's left for I think it's been raised for 7 years, so that thing's been, it's taken a new ownership, but the property hasn't been maintained. Weeds and dirt and piles of rubble still left there at the gateway to Erie off of 79. If you drive a little bit closer to 12th and Cherry, you see where a county government entity had taken possession of a building at the Erie Malibu Iron, and you've got these large gaping holes left for everybody that's supposed to be coming into Erie to see. You know, I think that's just, I wouldn't even know how to describe that. You can't showcase a city that you want to have all these people coming to see and coming to visit and trying to get as much as you can out of 10 minutes out of a day and invite everybody here. And these are the first things they see on the east side coming in and on the west side coming in, is all this blight and blown up properties and decay. I think, you know, somebody in this government should start showing some pride in the city and responsibility to the residents of what we have to look through every day, and it's become more of a common occurrence to the point where it's almost, well, you take it and you see it and you just become oblivious to the fact that this is just the way Erie is. I think it should be taken care of. I think some of these people that work for us should do more, whether it's a ticket, get on somebody's behind and clean this thing up. I mean, how many millions of people are you thinking are coming here through the summer and this is the first things they see? Now, I would, you know, that's a big sell, trying to get somebody to clean up a building. But my neighborhood, it needs attention from the people we pay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ruth Swanee from 230 Lincoln. I'm wearing orange in the month of green. Not that I'm not Celtic, but I want you to remember me. I have your attention. I'm here to speak about our library that's being taken over by Gannon University. And I'm here to ask your help. I know their lawyer says, Sparrow says, you cannot sue us. You cannot rescind the lease. We're going to try. We need 5 votes. We're missing 1. You probably all know who we're missing. It's the county representative from the east side of Erie. I understand he was on the city council. Talk to this man. This is a foot in the door for Gannon at the Blasco Library. You know, that was county, $8 million bond issue. We're probably still paying that. Every citizen in the city of Erie pays property taxes to the city also pays property taxes to the county. I don't have to tell you this. You're here. You know it. It's our library. How can one person sneak through, push through a lease of part of that property? A lease that makes no sense at all as far as the taxpayer goes. We're not making money on this lease. Less than $24,000 a year for part of that library. That's not a money-making proposition. There is something going on that we're not hearing and seeing that goes beyond the space they're taking. But the space they're taking that they claim was not being used was the computer lab on the first floor. I use it. I choose not to have a computer at home. I go there to use the computers. I go there to type up, usually I type up what I'm going to present. I see the people that are there. I enjoy being with all the people that are there using those computers. Who are they? At a county council meeting 6 weeks ago, the first one I ever attended, I enjoyed it very much. The room was packed. People had 3 minutes to talk. By the end of the evening, I think every person in that room got up and spoke. And two, towards the end. One, he was a felon that was released, served his time, came to Erie, lived at Goodwill at night, spent his days in the library on the computers, turned his life around. Another, he was homeless, spent his days in the library on the computers, now is working, has an apartment. Success stories. Success stories that we need in Erie. We need our library. I hear people say, well, numbers are down. Well, yes, we just came out of a global pandemic. Numbers are down. That doesn't mean the library isn't being used. The Monday morning that I went down there to research Blasco, why is it called Blasco Library? I learned so much. But I had to look for a parking spot in that large parking lot for the library. There were maybe 4 openings. That library is being used as a library. Gannon, part of the Erie Catholic Diocese, I learned this, has $24 million. They can find a better spot than our library. I ask you to turn out at the county council meeting next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other citizens who would like to be heard? Do we have any other citizens who would like to be heard? Do we have any other citizens who would like to be heard? I hear none, so Lori, we will move on.
Ordinances for final passage, Council File Number 16420, Official Ordinance Number 8, 2024, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $100,400 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof, the contribution from FEMA 2022 Assistance to Firefighters Grant for 7 thermal imaging cameras, sponsored by Mr. Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. The Council File Ordinance Number 16420, and now known as Official File Ordinance 8, 2024, be finally passed by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores. City Council pass Official File Ordinance 8, 2024 by yea 7, nay 0. Ordinances for first reading. Council File Number 16421, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $2,500,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof from the general fund balance and be transferred to the DECD loan fund. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Troop. The Council File Ordinance Number 16421, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Council members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores. City Council pass Official File Ordinance 16421 by yea 7, nay 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16422, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $1,250,000 from unappropriated and anticipated revenue to be received from the City of Erie General Fund and utilized in the City of Erie Business Development Fund. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Troop. The Council File Ordinance Number 16422, have been read as hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Number 16422 by yea 7, nay 0. Council File Number 16423, an ordinance amending Article 952, honorary renaming of streets, secondary street signs to simplify the process of renaming streets in the city of Erie. Sponsored by Councilmember Troop, seconded by Councilmember Titus. The Council File Ordinance Number 16423 having been read is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Shaw, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon,
No.
Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16423 by yeas 6, nays 1 on first reading. Council File Number 16424, an ordinance amending the City of Erie zoning ordinance to designate the way-built Weber House, 317 Frontier Drive, Erie, PA, as historic structures pursuant to Article 7 of the City of Erie zoning ordinance and amend the zoning map to reflect such designation. Sponsored by Councilmember Nelson, seconded by Councilmember Titus. The Council File Ordinance Number 16424 having been read is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Shaw, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16424 by yea 7, nay 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16425, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $1,250,000 from unappropriated and anticipated revenue to be received from the City of Erie General Fund and utilized in the City of Erie Urban Core Economic Recovery Fund. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Troop. The Council File Ordinance Number 16425 having been read is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Shaw, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16425 by yea 7, nay 0 on first reading. Council File Number 16426, an ordinance approving the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various component codes of the codified ordinances of the City of Erie, Pennsylvania. Sponsored by Councilmember Flores, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. The Council File Ordinance Number 16426 having been read is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16426 by yea 7, nay 0 on first reading. Madam President, this takes us to new business.
Motion move the balance.
Madam President, I would like to,
Can I, oh no,
sorry.
you're separating, right?
yes,
Okay, go
We
ahead.
need a second first.
We need a second, okay,
I'll second.
okay.
Now do I request the separation?
Any separation?
Madam President, I'd like to separate under new business items 4 and 5, please.
Any other separations? Moving the balance of the agenda, members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores. Resolution passes, yea 7, nay 6. Okay, separation, a resolution sponsored by Councilmember Flores, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. the proposed repository sale of 3 properties as listed by the Erie County Tax Claim Bureau to Priscilla Gallardo dos Santos, 535 State Road, Plymouth, Massachusetts, 02360, in the amount of $250 each for a total of $750 is hereby approved. Discussion?
Go ahead.
So, just a few thoughts here. One is, this is somebody coming in from Plymouth, Massachusetts, to buy up three properties, and in the areas that they're noted in buying these properties have quite a bit of value to be turned around and sold back to the community members that they're being purchased from for $750. I'm going to give very similar comments when we go to item number 5. But right now in Erie, we are absolutely in a housing crisis. I know that many of these properties sit without development, and that in and of itself is an issue that needs to be addressed. But what I cannot support is, while we are looking to build housing for those who are in low or moderate income, that we're going to sell to somebody who's out of the state, especially when we're getting ready to move into some initiatives with various organizations, including our administration, to start addressing the housing issue. And I think that this is a direct conflict of those initiatives, and I think this will actually hurt us and hurt our community to start selling these houses at such a cheap rate when our community members are desperate for safe and affordable housing.
Any other discussion?
Voting on the resolution, Council Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Shaw,
I agree with Tyler for now.
so that's a no vote. Titus,
No.
Troop, Witherspoon,
No.
Flores.
No.
Resolution fails, yeas 6, nays 4. 3-4. Jeez, thanks. I wrote it. Okay.
Good thing you're here, Ed.
Council members, resolution sponsored by Council members Flores, seconded by Shaw. The proposed repository sale of 4 properties as listed below in the Erie County Tax Claim Bureau to XZM LLC, 571 Pryor Avenue, Newark, Ohio 43055, and the amount of $250 each for a total of $1,000 is hereby approved. Discussion?
Madam President.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Similar comments as I just made on the properties before. This organization, or this LLC, was formed on 7/13/23. They put their first bid on an Erie County or an Erie City property on 7/26. So in 13 days after, they formed an LLC. And after doing quite a bit of digging, it appears that the intent is to buy up properties at a very cheap rate, and then to spin them around and sell them back to the community members at a much higher rate. So the same comments that I gave before, I think this goes in direct opposition of what we're trying to do and create safe and affordable housing for our community. So that is why I'm not in favor.
Any other discussion?
Voting on the resolution.
Hold on, Lori, I think Ed. Go ahead, Ed.
I'm just a little puzzled because we're turning these down, but are we offering an alternative? Are we gonna take over these properties and market them ourselves, or?
I think that's part of the plan that we were talking about, is that when we're meeting with several of the housing organizations, including the administration, that's what their goal is.
I'm with you on it, if they pull it off quickly though, because these people already put their money up. I'll vote with you this thing. So, no.
Yeah, we've voted down some repository sales because the Erie Land Bank told us that they were hoping to buy. I hadn't heard of any administrative efforts to acquire these properties. I haven't heard of it. Nobody else has reached out to purchase these.
Do you have a comment, Renee?
Sure. We're working very closely with our Infinite Erie delivery teams on the permanent supportive housing scattered sites. And there aren't a lot of properties that exist that can be renovated. So we may be doing some new construction, and we're going to need vacant properties to do those on. We are looking for existing housing to purchase to fix up. As part of creating the comprehensive housing strategy for the city, we're gonna need land to build on, we're gonna need vacant properties to renovate. We know that we have a housing shortage, and so I agree that to sell to somebody out of state that's probably just looking to turn around and make a profit isn't the best avenue for us right now when we're on the cusp of creating a plan.
How many, is the solicitor able to tell us, Madam President, like what our list of properties looks like right now? Like, is there only 10 of them on there? Is there 500 on there? I mean,
The repository
Yeah.
sale?
Well, couple things. First of all, we're talking about selling properties. They're not our properties. We don't own them. And so that's the first issue. I don't know the current number. There's a lot of properties that are sitting at the county in the repository sale bank. But I do not have a number. I will get you a number, but I don't have it as I sit here right now.
Yeah, can you definitely get us a number of what's in our city limits so that council can know what would possibly be coming forward on future repository sales? Any other discussion?
It seems to be cherry picking going on as far as people plucking these properties
Right.
for different.
I think
The more you think
a
about it, the
few
more.
meetings ago, we had someone buy 20. I remember you mentioning a
Oh, yeah.
comment.
Oh, yeah. That's the whole thing, though. We gotta make sure that, we close the barn before all the horses are out.
Right.
Because if they're all bought up, it's a moot question anyway.
I think
all I have.
I think you can call the vote, Lori.
Voting on the resolution, Brzezinski,
No?
Nelson, Schaaf,
No.
Titus,
No.
Troop, Witherspoon,
No.
Flores.
No.
Resolution fails, yeas 2, nays 5. Council President, this takes us to committee reports.
Alrighty, we can start on the end with Councilmember Brzezinski and work our way down.
Me? Okay, yeah. Not a whole lot. We'll have some exciting news from Port Authority. Sometime next week, the coke plant is finally going to be addressed, and hopefully things will start being cleared up. That one gentleman that spoke about our properties on West 12th Street, I inquired about that too, and the folks sold that property to a gentleman who owns a property already on West 12th. And when I asked about it, they told me to call the guy who owns it. I didn't think that was my job, so I didn't. But it is an eyesore. I totally agree with you. And I guess we have to send a code enforcement out there or something. You got to find something out there that's not crooked. That's pretty much all I have. We're starting to get ready for St. Patrick's Day, only a couple of weeks. So wear your greens next meeting. Thank you very much, and good night.
Thank you. Councilmember Shaw?
Thank you, Madam President. Tomorrow, here in the City Hall chambers, we will have a public restroom study session Thursday, March 7th at 5:30 p.m. that I am going to host. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you there. Councilmember Nelson?
Couple meetings with various liaison positions. I've had 2 meetings with the Airport Authority and a follow-up with one of their board members. First was there was a presentation for the new consultant that they brought on. And then the next day there was an Airport Authority meeting where they discussed a little bit of what their hopes were for that, and also some of their activity around workforce development, really. And then the April 8th Eclipse had a great presentation there with Erie Events. There was a legislative luncheon with Gannon University. They brought us on a tour of the IHAC and talked about how some of that space is being used for new businesses coming to Erie that were pretty exciting. I'd actually forgotten last meeting to make reference to the Water Reserve Fund. I've been the committee person for that, or president, so either way I've been on that for the last 3 years. We had we've not made transfers from there from capital improvements, and that money is invested. It's one of two different funds that's allowed to be invested in the stock market, whereas the rest of our stuff has to be in certain levels of basically checking accounts, savings accounts. So that's one of two funds that gets the highest return, and the one that we can use for capital improvements. That fund, it continues to go up as the whole stock market has, and it's getting to a spot where it might actually be able to cover all of our capital expenses on an annual basis. Really, if it continues to grow at the rate it is, I think we'll be there just within a couple years. We usually have about $1 million in capital cost a year, and this had historically only been covering about 400,000 of it. But even now, it's grown to a point where we pretty much get an extra police car every year. And then last council meeting, I had suggested that I thought that there would be an avenue forward to explore home rule charter with a little bit more brain trust behind it. A third of third-class cities have moved from third-class city to home rule charter. Usually it comes after they've become a distressed city. Erie's the largest city in our state that has not been distressed. And it would give us a number of different avenues, such as in Altoona, for example, they exempt the first, I think it's 10, 20,000 of your property tax if you're an owner-occupied house. So as we're talking about speculators, as we're talking about housing shortages, as we're talking about incentivizing home ownership, you know, they found creative ways through their taxation to do that we're not allowed to do because we've submitted ourselves to third-class city. So last meeting, I had suggested that I ought to reach out to the Jefferson to get some more brain trust behind that. I had a follow-up meeting with them, and they actually arranged a follow-up meeting to that with Mayor Tom Murphy from Pittsburgh. So we all met in Meadville for coffee, and he talked about what it took to move their city. Really, he was the mayor when they had declined from 600,000 to 300,000. And he's the one that sort of turned that corner around, and he talked about what it took to do that. Really exciting meeting, but he had a lot of opinions about home rule charter and what that could do for Erie, and the Jefferson had offered a significant support to help us get there. Every generation usually readdresses the charter of the city, and if you look, it happens in our city every 40 or so years, and it has not happened in our city. And whereas Reading and Allentown have made that jump 20 years ago and then turned their cities around, we've failed to make such a big step. So, but I don't want to do that just on my whims and op-eds. I want to make sure that you guys have people smarter than me and more experienced than me saying it. So I had a good meeting with them. And then 3 events I want to point out. Since last meeting, we had the Police Athletic League ball. I think a lot of us were there, and it was a great time. The thing went. They went from all the fancy dinner and presentations to a straight-up party by the end of it. It was wonderful. And then 2 more events between now, actually shortly thereafter in the next council meeting, as we talk about issues of homelessness. On March 21st, there is a comedy night. The mayor is emceeing that at Keller's. That's 321. And that's going to be going towards the upper room, which is a board that I chair. And then on April 2nd, there's another fundraiser for homelessness with the Erie City Mission, an event that I'll be headlining, and you could see a former IBO World Welterweight title holder punch me in the head, which public comments are pretty gentle today, but some of you might still enjoy that. And that's it for my committee report.
Thank you. Councilmember Troop?
Madam President, real quick, just talk to the people from the Downtown Partnership, and they want the community to know that St. Pat's Day Parade is March 16th. They're thanking, EPD wants to thank the city for help with coordinating that event with all the different departments in the city. Downtown wants to thank the city and City Council for approving, there's going to be 140 events that they're going to be sponsoring this year to try to connect, collaborate, bring our community together. So look out for those events on their site. Also, Eclipse Day, the Downtown Partnership will be coordinating with the Experienced Children's Museum. That's April 8th. and other organizations. The events will take place in Perry Square, starting at noon. Lots of activities. The bookmobile will be there. NASA's Barron and Gannon will be doing something, and lots of other people. They're working with Erie Insurance for some parking. There'll be a lot of people down there. They're asking the citizens to keep traffic in mind. It's going to be really busy. And they're also doing things to ensure the safety of our citizens, because we know there's going to be a lot of people there. And also remember, March is Women's History Month. So that's it, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilmember Tyler Titus.
Thank you. So the Parking Authority will be having their monthly board meeting this March 12th, so I'll report out more on what happens there at our next council meeting. Just as a reminder, the tax bills are out, and so are the stormwater fees, and to not assume that escrow is covering all of that. So make sure that you are calling if you have escrow set up, so that your stormwater fees are being paid, because we're trying to avoid to make sure nobody has their any liens from anything left over from 2023, and to make sure the new 2024 bills are paid. You can pay those coming down here to City Hall in person at the City Treasurer's Office, or going online through the website. I attended the EMTA board meeting on 2/26. A few highlights from that meeting: EMTA is working with Erie High to build a career pipeline for those interested in public transit, specifically to be a driver or to work in the maintenance. They'll also be having a recruitment event to fill the the positions that they have open on March 19th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Northwest PA Career Link at 1647 SAS. So you can find out more about that event at ridethee.com. I attended the Erie County's Enforcement Committee meeting for the Human Relations Commission. They're currently in the process of restructuring leadership in the office of positions. And then once those seats have been determined, I'll report out to council. And then if anyone needs to file a discrimination complaint, you can find out more information on the Erie County webpage. I met with the executive director and the board chair of the Erie Zoo on 2/26. That was a phenomenal tour. I also got to pet a rhino, which I never thought was going to happen, so that was pretty amazing. I've always been a supporter there, but was really blown away. I was really not aware of how much conservation work they are doing there, and what is being done, and we really are at the forefront of a lot of change right here at our local zoo. They have commitments, the commitments that they have to the animals is undeniable, but the commitment to our local community and the economy is really something else, and their education and enrichment. So I encourage everyone to make sure that you're getting over to the zoo. They have their free day passes. They have several new projects underway to make it more user-friendly and to update the facilities. They are running into some complications, though, with the trees that are along the west perimeter that run parallel to the golf course that are causing some damage to the fence. And so I'm meeting with some from the administration to kind of just talk about how we can assist or how that process could move forward. And then lastly, the same night as the PALS Gala was the Erie Black Wall Street's Gala event. Then they were honoring and elevating black business owners here at the city. And it was pretty amazing to just see just how many businesses are really thriving and surviving out there. So that's all from me now.
Thank you. Councilmember Witherspoon.
Thank you, Madam President. The Erie House, I met with Mr. Mike Fraley, Erie Housing Authority. They are up in new residents compared to last year. Right now there's 32 new families that have housing, and he encourages those who are in need to contact the Erie Housing Authority, fill out an application, and they still have some vacancies in just about all of their public housings. Also, the Summer Basketball League website opened up March 1st, and as of now, we have 123 young men and women registered in this short period of time. Some people think we just play basketball. We also protect them when they're there. That's another murder that's not happening. There's another kid that's not dying. They're there for 5 hours from the age of 9 to 16. And of course, there's a lot of older folks, parents that's there observing. And we always thank city police for their presence and the way they work and talk to the kids. They just don't sit around. So they're doing community policing. So we save lives as long as they are there. Now, once they leave, we don't have control. So I'm very happy of the number at an early stage of registration, but I never cut off an individual. Our highest number was 322 at one time, and if the registration continues, we will exceed that. And I may be calling on council to do some volunteering. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. I'll go next. I did attend the PALS ball, which is the Police Athletic League's ball, on February 24th, and did see quite a few of my fellow council members there. It's always great to show support for the things that are encouraging our youth. March 1st was the start of Women's History Month, and then in honor of that, our former county executive, Kathy Dahlkemper, had a Women the Future event that council member Schaaf and myself attended, and we met Representative Sharice Davis. She's a representative in Kansas, and she's a House of Representative elected. So she came and spoke about the importance of women being elected at office. So it was great to spend time with fellow women who are working to, encourage young women in the future to be a part of the conversation. I will be reading at Grover Cleveland on Friday for Reading Across America. And with all the nice warm weather that we have had lately, I think our community is really happy that the sun is out. But you can see all of the litter that is all over the place. So I just want to encourage everyone to please make sure that we are taking care of our litter. I was down by the water yesterday, and I see maybe there were 5 or 6 young girls throwing their McDonald's wrappers just on the sidewalk right by the water. And it really hurt my heart because their father was doing the same thing. And it's like it's a generational thing that we teach our kids how to do this, so then they do it. But if we correct the behavior, hopefully we can get ahead of it. So I always try to encourage young people that no one's going to take care of Mother Earth unless we take care of her. So we have to do our part, and since we are a city that borders our lake, we should not be allowing ourselves to pollute our water source. So we just have to do better. I know when I'm on my walks, I collect trash. I assume Councilmember Schaaf probably does the same since she walks a lot. But we just all as a city need to do better with our litter. And then also, if you do have large items that you want to get rid of, please put in a request for large item pickup, because you have to get approval before you can just set it up on the street, or else it's there for 2 or 3 weeks and it does look horrible, and it doesn't help with the blight and the trash, and it doesn't make our city look very clean and welcoming. So we have to do better. That's all I have to report. And does the controller have a report?
I just want to update council that the office is working on the yearly state report for the state aid, so that's due the end of March, and hopefully we'll have it filed within another week, but I'll notify council when it's done, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. Solicitor's office? Administration?
Good morning. Yeah, I have a few things. First, I want to make residents aware that the Plumbers Training Center is currently accepting applications for their apprenticeship program until March 9th, 2024. And you can pick up an application at 8150 Hawthorne Drive in Erie. It's an excellent opportunity. It's a 5-year program. Young adults, students who apply and are accepted, have an opportunity to be paid for work during the day and then attend the apprenticeship program at night for free. And it's a great, like I said, it's a great career building opportunity. So we really encourage people to take a look at that. Also, we're working on a number of grant applications right now. We continue to work closely with Infinite Erie on different housing initiatives and also economic development initiatives within the urban core. At tomorrow's press conference, the mayor and our planning director will present an update on the 12th Street Reimagined project. And then I also I wanted to recognize the passing of the contract for Kittleson and Associates. That's another plan that we'll be getting underway here. We received a grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation in the amount of $200,000 to do a Safe Streets and Roads for All plan to reduce crashes in the city. And so there will be investigating a lot of data and looking at high crash areas and what we can do to fix those. And then the intent is to apply for implementation funding after that. We hope to have, our Department of Economic and Community Development is currently working on reviewing and allocating funding for CDBG, home, and ESG for this year. We don't have our allocation yet. We had our public needs hearings on Monday, but we're working on that and hope to have a study session with City Council on March 19th. The eclipse was mentioned a few times, and I wanted to say, you know, we don't know how many people are going to come here, but estimates through Visit Erie are anywhere from 60,000 to 250,000 people could come to Erie. You know, this phenomenon won't occur in the United States again until 2044, and not in Erie until 2144. We think that a lot of people will probably come up from Pittsburgh, from the East Coast. And, you know, talking to other communities that have experienced a total eclipse in the past, there are a lot of people who come from all over the world to see this. It's something that they follow. And so a lot of other communities have had gridlock for as much as 12 hours. So we encourage residents, you know, as we get closer to April 8th, look up in the sky. The eclipse will start at 2 o'clock. The moon will start to move toward the sun. The total eclipse will happen between 3:16 and 3:20. And then it will start to pass over, and it will end at about, the sky will return to normal around 4:30. The fear is that everybody will start to try to leave Erie at the same time. If that happens, that's when the gridlock would occur. So we just encourage people, look up in the sky, see where the sun is going to be at 3:16, see if you can see it from your backyard, or if you can walk to a local park. Make sure that you have food in the house for that night, prescription medicine, if you need aides to come to your house to assist you with anything. We want to make sure that people have what they need in case they can't get to the store. And then I just wanted to mention, you know, for garbage pickup issues and that kind of thing, we do have our Citizen Response Center who's very attentive. The number to call is 814-870-1111. After the issue was raised in December, our citizen response coordinator did go out and look for the house in question and did not find trash where he thought it was supposed to be, so I apologize. He did drive by and try to find it, and he must have been looking in the wrong place. But if we have an address, we do try to take care of it as quickly as possible. And in terms of the blighted properties that were mentioned, the commercial blight, our code enforcement office has been working on citing some of those properties. It's just a process with the court system to get that to actually make progress. The EMI property, we've been working closely with the Erie County Redevelopment Authority on, and though it still has a long way to go, progress is definitely being made there. But we will look to see what else we can do at this point. I think we're currently already in process on the East 12th and Bayfront Parkway property, and I don't know if we can do anything else at this point. But we are on top of that. We agree that the community shouldn't have to be subject to that kind of blight, and that's one of the reasons we are transferring some of this funding so that we can spend more in the urban core to eliminate as much blight as we can, as fast as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes the City Council meeting.